Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Thursday, September 23, 2021. $250 million have been provided by the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries to assist farmers affected by tropical storms Ida and Grace. The allocation is from the Production Incentive Program. It includes $70 million for crop support such as seeds, planting materials, pesticides, and other inputs. $30 million will support the poultry and small ruminant industries.
Of this $100 million of support to be provided, Madam Speaker, $28 million will be made available for distribution through the Members of Parliament. 29 constituencies have been identified with significant damage, and these Members of Parliament will be receiving $750,000 each to provide support in these areas. A further 13 constituencies have been identified with less substantial damage, and these Members of Parliament will receive $500,000 each. The remaining $71,750,000 will be disbursed under the recovery programs being executed by the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA.
Further support will be provided in the amount of $100 million for registered farmers to purchase fertilizers at a 15% reduced price on the four most widely used products. This will begin on October 1 through to December 31 or until the funds have been exhausted. The ministry will also be providing support in the amount of $50 million to banana and plantain farmers for material inputs such as fertilizers and pesticides.
Based on the assessment of the damage from the two tropical storms, the total estimated cost required for the recovery of the sector is approximately $2 billion. And the ministry will be making the relevant presentation for the required support towards the full recovery effort. We are committed to working with the Cabinet and the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service in identifying additional support to return the sector to full productivity.
Over 21,000 farmers were affected by the flood rains, with more than $1.7 billion in losses to crops and livestock. Staff of independent schools are to receive benefit under the government's COVID-19 Allocation of Resources for Employees CARE program. This follows approval by Cabinet of $250 million for the payment of a one-time grant of $40,000 to academic and administrative staff and $25,000 to ancillary staff. Information Minister Favour Williams says the Education Ministry made the request. She was addressing yesterday's post-cabinet press briefing.
There are over 5,000 persons in 294 institutions registered with the Independent Schools Unit of the Ministry. The grant would only apply to employees of those independent schools at the primary, secondary, and tertiary levels as approved and submitted to the CARE program by the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information.
Minister Williams says despite the impact of the pandemic, employees in public educational institutions remained employed and continued to receive salaries and relevant allowances. In addition, approximately 2,140 registered officers working in early childhood institutions received grant payment through the CARE program. A dedicated emergency number has been activated to respond to calls reporting child abuse or neglect. The hotline, 211, was launched during a virtual ceremony on Wednesday and provides an easy avenue for children to self-report when they are being victimized. It is also for use by persons who wish to make a report of child abuse or neglect.
This helpline will be manned 24 hours by child care professionals, as I said in the ad, and it's a significant addition to the overarching system to protect the nation's children.
The 24-hour hotline is the first of its kind in Jamaica and replaces 888-PROTECT, which was sometimes difficult for children to remember and dial. The Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA, through the National Children Registry, NCR, which is authorized to collect information, is managing the calls.
Our officers can receive calls remotely, which is in keeping with the call center standards. Importantly, we are now able to track the number of calls received on any given day through a call reporting software. This technology is ensuring that all our calls are received, dispatched, and actioned immediately.
There's also collaboration with the Center for Investigation of Sexual Offences and Child Abuse, SISOCA, Office of the Children's Advocate, and all other relevant agencies to give assistance where needed. The Bureau of Gender Affairs has commenced sensitization sessions to educate Jamaicans about aspects of the proposed Sexual Harassment, Protection and Prevention Act 2021.
The Bureau of Gender Affairs, I know, has already been going to different institutions, sharing information about the bill even before it passes, and that will be ramped up after its passage.
Leader of Government Business, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, opened the debate in the Senate recently. She said the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, through the Bureau of Gender Affairs, is also in discussions to provide simplified models of the policy statement for micro, small and medium-sized enterprises. The bill contains provisions for dealing with sexual harassment in the workplace, schools, correctional institutions, places of safety, nursing homes, medical and psychiatric facilities, among other places. Chief Justice Brian Sykes is reporting that the efficiency of Jamaica's courts has improved despite the challenges from the COVID-19 pandemic. While speaking recently during the swearing-in of 12 new judges, Chief Justice Sykes said the country's gun court has also met international standards.
It now has 10% or less of its total caseload in backlog, and that is gross backlog, and 5% or less of its caseload in net backlog, and that is consistent with the best performing courts globally.
According to the Chief Justice, the Revenue Court should be completely backlog-free by October, and the case clearance rates in the parish courts have increased.
In respect of the parish courts, they have exceeded the performance target set based upon our strategic plan, which was launched last year. That is something that we should be proud of.
Justice Sykes says this improvement shows that despite the challenges caused by the pandemic, judicial officers remain committed to serving the people of Jamaica. And finally, Jamaica has been elected to serve for the next 3 years as a member of the Executive Committee of the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO. This committee acts as a working party of the PAHO Conference or Directing Council and is composed of 9 member states of the organization. The election, which included 2 other countries, took place at the 59th meeting of PAHO Directing Council, now being held in Washington. Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tufton, who is leading Jamaica's delegation and chairing the meeting, welcomed the appointment.
Of course, I want to express my congratulations to the 3 countries who have been elected to the executive committee, and being Jamaican, I want to recognize Jamaica for its efforts and contribution, as I do for the other 2 members, Argentina and Bolivia.
Jamaica, Bolivia and Argentina, the newly elected members to the committee that will serve with Costa Rica, Haiti, Mexico, Brazil, Cuba and Suriname, succeed Barbados, Ecuador and the United States of America. The PAHO Directing Council is responsible for setting the organization's policies and priorities for technical cooperation, as well as discussing matters of public health significance and agreeing on the way forward for the region of the Americas. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.